Hi everyone, all my students of Standard 9. How's it going? Did you read Julius Caesar? You have seen my series of Julius Caesar. I finished the act with you, and very soon we'll be continuing with Julius Caesar. But in the meanwhile, I thought that I would also start treasure chest with you all, and we'll begin with your poems. Now, you've got 5 poems to be done, and the schools, I don't know which school is going to be teaching which poem. So, from Treasure Chest, you've got 5 poems, which are for your syllabus for Standard 9, the ICSE Standard 9 syllabus. Now, each school can teach whichever poem they want. So, I have decided that I will start with the night mail. I don't know what your schools are teaching, but I'm going to start with the night mail, and I don't know how long I'll take. So let's see in how many lectures I'm able to complete it. If you don't have your books, please go and pause the video and go and get your books. So let's start with the night mail, and we first read about the poet. Winston Hugh Auden, 21st February 1907 to 29th September 1973, was a British American poet who was born in England in a professional middle class family. He attended various English independent or public schools and studied English at Christ Church, Oxford. After a few months in Berlin, he was teaching in a British private preparatory schools and then traveled to Iceland and to China to write books about his journey. In 1946, he became an American citizen, retaining his British citizenship. He taught in America. That means he had 2 citizenships. He taught in American universities. Until the end of his life, he wintered in New York and summered in Kirchstetten, Lower Austria. Some of his best known poems are about love, such as Funeral Blues, etc. Now we come to Night Mail. Night Mail originated from the desire to produce a film that would serve as the public face of a modern, trustworthy postal system, in addition to boosting the low morale of the postal workers at the time. Children, you must remember that when this poem is set and when this poem was written, at that time we did not have internet, or we did not have emails or anything of that sort. So the only means of communication basically was the postal system. If your relative or friend or whoever was living a little further from you, then you would communicate through the postal system. So that is what has happened at that time. The postal system, the postal workers of that time, somehow their moral had been lowered. They had started developing a low esteem, and to boost that moral so that they would continue working, this poem was written. Now this poem was not written on its own. There was a movie called The Night Mail, which was made, see, it's given to you in the next sentence. Night Mail, which was made in 1936, revised in 1966, is a poem by W.H. Auden, written in 1935 as a verse commentary for the final minutes of a British documentary film of the same title, Night Mail. So there was a British documentary film by the name Night Mail, and this poem, The Night Mail, was written for that documentary. He has paced it to match the rhythm of the train's wheels with a stopwatch in order to fit it exactly to the shot. It is celebrated as a classic example of film soundtrack verse in English. It first describes the arrival of a night train, this being the LMS Postal Special Express from London Euston to Aberdeen via Crewe and Glasgow and Edinburgh, across the Scottish border, making for Glasgow as the country sleeps. So the full form of LMS is London Midland Scottish Railway. It is a London Midland Scottish Railway, and it was a special postal express. So the main thing about the Night Mail was that it was for the postal system. So let's read the poem first. The Night Mail. This is the Night Mail crossing the border. So it's crossing the border from London to Scotland. Actually, it is traveling between London and Scotland. That is where it is traveling, okay, London and Scotland. So this is the night mail crossing the border, bringing the check and the postal order. Letters for the rich, letters for the poor, the shop at the corner and the girl next door. Pulling up Beatok, a steady climb. The gradients against her, but she's on time. Now here the she and all that means the train. The night mail has been personified as a woman. Past cotton grass and moorland boulder, shoveling white steam over her shoulder, snorting noisily as she passes silent miles of wind-bent grasses. Birds turn their heads as she approaches, stare from the bushes at her blank-faced coaches. Sheepdogs cannot turn her course. They slumber on with paws across. In the farm she passes, no one wakes, but a jug in the bedroom gently shakes. Dawn freshens. The climb is done. Down towards Glasgow she descends. Toward the stream tugs, yelping down the glade of cranes, towards the fields of apparatus and the furnaces, set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. All Scotland wakes for her. In the dark glens, beside the pale green sea loaches, men long for news. So people are waiting for news. Letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from the girl and the boy, receipted bills and invitations to inspect new thoughts, new stock or visit relations, and applications for situations and timid lovers' declarations and gossip from all the nations, news circumstantial, news financial, letters with holiday snaps to enlarge in, letters with faces scrawled in the margin, letters from uncles, cousins, and aunts, letters from Scotland, from the south of France, letters of condolence to highlands and lowlands, notes from overseas to Hebrides, written on every paper of hue, the pink, the violet, the white, and the blue, the chatty, the catty, the boring, adoring, the cold and official, and the heart's outpouring. Clever, stupid, short, long. The typed and the printed, and the spelt all wrong. Thousands are still asleep, dreaming of terrifying monsters, or of friendly tea beside the band at Cranston's or Crawford's. Asleep in working Glasgow, asleep in Wells at Edinburgh, asleep in granite Aberdeen, they continue their dreams and shall wake soon and long for letters, and none will hear the postman's knock without a quickening of the heart, for who can bear to feel himself forgotten? Okay, so that's for the poem. I've read it with you, and we'll discuss the poem now. Okay, the first thing I want to discuss with you is the style of the poem. In what style is the poem written? Okay, this poem is basically written in a, or actually I think I'll discuss the setting with you before we start with the style. We'll discuss the setting. This poem is basically a significant part of the poem is set in the train itself, because it is describing the journey of the train. The train starts from one place and it reaches to another place. So the entire setting of the poem is in the train. Okay, and this train, while it travels, it passes through a variety of landscapes. And the poet has beautifully depicted all the places and all the terrain through which it passes. So initially the train is passing through serene, quiet, it's night time, remember, it's a night mail. So it is passing through serene, quiet pastures, and then slowly the train is crossing the border of the border from London to Scotland, steadily climbing the gradient. So the gradient means a slope. So the train is steadily going up the slope. But while it's going up the slope, it is like the slope of Beatok. Okay, and while it is going up the slope, it provides a tranquil background for the poem. Now, while she's going up the slope, the train is also sort of making an effort, because climbing up is always difficult. It's always easier to descend. Ascending is always the problem. So the same thing is with the train. While the train is traveling upslope towards Beatok, she's huffing and puffing. She means the train. The train is huffing and puffing. And what happens when the train huffs and puffs? It sends out a lot of steam. So this steam is like, and the train moves forward. Children, you've got to imagine this. The train is moving forward and all the steam is being thrown backward. Okay, so it is moving, it is going upslope, throwing all the steam. The steam keeps going backward. And she's making a lot of noise, as if the train is trying to announce to people that, look, I'm coming. As if it wants to make her presence. The train wants its presence to be felt. That is the idea of it. And then slowly from this rural background, we come to the urban setting. The urban setting is where the industrial city of Glasgow. And the train starts its descents. Now when the train starts its descent, it sees a lot of cranes. You know what are cranes, no? Which builders use and all. So a lot of cranes are there. Then there are gigantic furnaces, etc. So this shift from the rural background to the urban background is the connecting thread between the rural and urban. So between the rural and the urban, the connecting thread is the train. Okay? And throughout the poem, the train remains something which is constant. We are constantly aware of this train factor. And that train is the all-encompassing nature of communication and connection. So that is what the train is. So that much for the setting. Basically everything is set in the train. Now we come to the style of the poem. Like I told you, I'll be discussing the style. There is a consistent rhyming scheme which you will see if you read the poem. See, border, order, pour, door, climb, time, boulder, shoulder, passes, grasses, approaches, courses. So it is A, B, B, A, B, B. Border, order, pour, door, climb, time, boulder, shoulder, passes, grasses. So that is how the rhyming scheme is going. It's a proper metrical pattern. Now, while using this rhyming scheme, there are couplets. Means two lines are matching. Two lines are rhyming with each other. And the poet, means Auden, has also used a lot of imagery. And you all know what is imagery. If you don't know, please write it down. Imagery refers to the words or phrases which are used to help to create an image in front of your eyes. Okay, so that image could be, it caters to one of your senses. It could either cater to your sense of sight, or to your smell, or to your hearing, or to taste, or to touch. So these are the 5 types of senses which we have, and there are 5 different types of imageries. There is one more sense also which is called as the kinesthetic image, and we will find that this kinesthetic image is used over here in this poem. Kinesthetic image shows movement. It is a form of imagery. It is a form of imagery which shows movement. Okay. And then there is auditory imagery also, which appeals to the sense of hearing. So I'll give you an example of that. If you open your poem to this part, see. Written on paper of every hue, the pink, the violet, the white and the blue, the chatty, the catty, the boring, adoring, the cold and official, and the hearts outpouring, clever, stupid, short and long, the typed and the printed, and all spelled wrong. So you see that particular rhythmic movement, it's got a lyrical quality, and this lyrical quality gives it the movement. So it's a kinesthetic imagery apart from the imagery of sound, of hear. Okay, it gives you the be it as if you are sitting in the train and the train is moving and you are moving with the train. So that is the imagery and the lyrical quality which Auden has given to his poem. Then of course there are visual images, like I told you that she's giving out steam and it's being thrown back. So you can imagine. So that's a visual imagery. Example of a visual imagery. Then also the train, because it is personified, we have something that we call in this line where she says, where the poet, where Auden says in the first paragraph, snorting noisily as she passes. Now snorting noisily means what? Making a noise. So that is the auditory image. Okay, it is like when you snort. So it gives you the image of auditory. So there are different images. Then blank faced look, sight, image of sight. So if you see the entire poem, we'll do the images and imagery in detail when we come to the poem stanza wise, but I'm just trying to explain to you that Auden, for his style, has used a very beautiful has used the words very beautifully and created all sorts of imageries with a lyrical quality. It's like as if you're almost singing the poem. So that lyricism is there. Okay. Then of course lots of figures of speech are used. That's his style. Lots of figures of speech. And another thing that I want to tell you is, as far as the style is concerned, there is a very outstanding symbolism that he has used over here. Do you know what is symbolism? Symbolism is, please write down. Symbolism means we use symbols. Okay. Now symbols are words which are used to communicate more than their literal meaning. Words which communicate more than their literal meaning. Okay. For example, when you see a rose, like I've got a rose over here. Okay. So when you see a rose, what do you think about this rose? What is the feeling when you see a rose? You immediately understand that it's a flower. Okay. A rose is a flower. But when you see rose, it symbolizes beauty. So that is a symbolism. A rose is of course a flower, but it is symbolic of something beautiful. So that is a symbolism when you think of rose. So similarly, over here, the poet has used symbolism and he has compared the night male to a human being who is journeying across human life with lots of ups and downs. There are lots of ups and downs which human beings have to carry up, and as we go up and down our life, what the message that this night male is giving you is that never give up. Always continue on your journey till you reach your goal. So, and it's really so that is a message, that is a symbolism of the poem. So I have discussed with you the setting of the poem and the symbolism of the poem. Now I'll come to the title. I want you all to understand the title. Now what is the title of the poem? The title of the poem is The Night Mail. Very simple title. Nothing much to explain, you would feel. Night mail means it's traveling in the night. Okay. But here I want you all to notice he has used, the movie's name was Night Mail. The poem's name is The Night Mail. Okay. 1 minute, I'll just check. I hope I'm not making a mistake. Yes, the movie's name was Night Mail and the poem's name is The Night Mail. Now, as students of English, you know what is the. Which part of speech is the? Correct. The is an article. And what sort of an article is it? It's a definite article. So he's talking about the night mail, a particular train. He's not talking about any night mail. He's talking about a particular train, the night mail. So that is what he wants to tell. That is the first thing. And why is it a definite night mail? Because it is not a passenger train. There are no passengers in this train. Okay, the night mail is only carrying letters. It is carrying news. It is carrying all these things. Only post. There is no public in it. But however, there are 40 members of the travelling post office. There are 40 members of the travelling post office who are the sorting personnel on board. What do you mean by personnel? The spelling of personnel is P-E-R-S-O-N-N-E-L. personnel. So there are 40 personnel of the traveling post office who are in the compartment of the train, and they are sorting out what letter, what news, what has to go where. So that is the work they are doing in the night mail. Otherwise there is no other public. Okay, and of course, so that is the meaning of the. Now we come to the word night. Night means night. So night, that means it's a train which travels at night. Okay, the word mail. What is the word mail? It represents the entire ethos of the poem. The mail means the ethos of the poem. It gives you the efficiency of a postal service. That they are so efficient that in spite of all the highs and lows that they have to face, in spite of all the difficulties that they have to face, in spite of the challenges that the terrains offer to them, traveling from a rural area to an urban area. So you have to cross highs, you have to cross maybe hills, you have to go up like the gradient which goes at Biatok. So you have to climb all that, the train I mean, and then it has to come down again, it has to descend again. So there are lots of ups and downs which the train has to conquer, the train has to cover to reach its destination. Okay, so it faces all the terrains, all the challenges of the terrains. Terrains means the geographical relief features. So it faces all these challenges, and it manages to reach the target, means it manages to reach its aim, it fulfills its aim. And what is its aim? The aim of this train, the aim of the night mail is to keep people connected, to ensure that the communication amongst people does not break. That is the aim of the night mail. It doesn't want any communication to break. Not only does it want the communication to not break, but it ensures that it is on time every time. So it manages to reach at the perfect time that is scheduled for it. So that much for the title. Okay. And so I've discussed setting, title, style. One more thing I want to discuss with you in this introductory lecture of the night mail, that is the main theme. What exactly is the main theme of this poem? There are small themes, but what is the main theme? The main theme of this poem is to show that every human has the need, a deep down need we all have in us, to feel connected to people. We all always want to be connected. Nobody likes to live alone. Okay, so the main theme of this poem, The Night Mail, written by W.H. Auden, is that of connectivity. It wants to connect everybody. Okay, so this poem, you must remember, was written when there was no email, like I told you, there was no internet, and writing letters and sending them through the post was the only way in which you could be connected to your friends, to your relatives, to people whom you know, to everybody. That was the only way to be connected, and that was the only way to receive news. And at this time of the time, everybody was very much interested in international news, because Hitler was becoming very aggressive when this poem was based. Okay, so everybody wanted to be connected, but the morale of the postal people, those who were working in the post offices, their morale was going down. So if their morale went down, then the connectivity would also go down. So basically this poem was written to keep their morals high, so that the letters coming could keep people connected, whether you get happy news or whether you get disappointing news, whether you get the news that there is a new child born in the family of some relative, or you get the news that some friend has got engaged and he's got married, or you get the news that some elderly person in the family has passed away. Whatever news you get, the important thing was that you are connected and there was communication. So with that positive note, that we want to keep connected and we want to be in communication, which the night mail helped at that time, I think I'll stop this lecture over here. We'll call it as the introductory lecture, and after this I will start with the poem and we'll go slowly verse by stanza, so that we don't miss out on anything. Is that clear? So, do you know what have I discussed with you today? If you don't know, go back and check. Okay, I'll tell you. We have discussed the setting, we have discussed the style, we have discussed the title, and we have discussed the main theme. These are the four main things that we have discussed today. Okay, now before we to save up on time for the next module, you have your books in front of you. Please take a pen or pencil. I'll just give you the meanings of particular words so that when we start with the explanation, I don't waste time on trying to dictate meanings to you at that time. So we'll go paragraph wise. Okay, first paragraph is the word Beatok. The word Beatok is a village in Scotland. Beatok is a village in Scotland. Then we come to the word gradient. Gradient is a slope. Then we come to the word cotton grass. What is cotton grass? Grassy plants with white fluffy cotton looking like flower heads. Almost like this, but they are a little more fluffy. Okay. Then we come to the word moorland. Did you write that or was I fast? Grassy plants with white fluffy cotton looking like flower heads. Then we come to moorland boulder. What is moorland? Uncultivated hilly areas is moorland. Then we come to boulder. What is boulder? Boulder, a large rock that has been worn out smooth by erosion. That is a boulder. Something that has been worn smooth by erosion. Then we come to shoveling. Shoveling is lighting and moving. Lighting and moving. Into brackets you can put coal, earth, snow, etc. So lighting and moving, coal, earth, snow, etc. with a shove. You know what's a shove? You dig like that and you throw it up. You dig, you throw. Okay, so that is the meaning of shoveling. Then we come to sheepdogs. Sheepdogs are dogs which are trained to control the sheep on a farm. Dogs which are trained to control a sheep on a farm. Then we come to course, I think I should explain. Which cannot turn her course. Okay. They slumber on with pause across. Here the meaning of the word slumber is sleep. Then towards the stream, next paragraph, next stanza. Towards the stream tugs. Tugs over here is boats. Then yelping means to give a sudden shout or cry of pain. To give a sudden shout or cry of pain. And what is a glade of cranes? A glade of cranes, please write. It's a long meaning, so make an asterisk or something and write it somewhere in the book. The rows of cranes along the Glasgow harbour that look like trees in woods. And then we come to apparatus. You all know what are apparatus. You are all science students. Then we come to gigantic. Gigantic is huge, extremely big. Chessmen, 32 pieces of chess. Chessmen are the 32 pieces of chess. Then we come to glens, in the dark glens. Glen is a narrow valley. Glens are narrow valleys, especially in Scotland. Glens are narrow valleys, especially in Scotland or Ireland, I think. Yes, Scotland or Ireland. Then we come to, where is it? Pale green sea loach. So what are these loach? This is a Scottish word for lakes. It's a Scottish word for lake. Then we come to timid. And timid lovers' declarations. Timid. Lacking courage or confidence. Timid means lacking courage or confidence. Then we come to circumstantial. Circumstantial is complete in detail. Snaps are, of course, photographs which you are aware of. Scrawled cousins. Condolence, you know what is a condolence, no? Condolence, expression of sympathy. Hue is color. Written on paper of every hue is color. Then chatty means talkative. Chatty is talkative. Catty is unkind. Saying unkind things about other people. Catty means saying unkind things about other people. Boring, adoring, and clever, stupid, long, terrifying. Then you know what is a Cranston and Crawford. Cranston and Crawford, these are Scottish cities. Cranston and Crawford, Scottish cities. Then asleep in Granite, Aberdeen. Granite Aberdeen is also known as the Granite City. So Aberdeen is known as the Granite City because all the buildings are made of plain granite. Like how in India we call Jaipur as the pink city, isn't it? Because pink sandstone has been used. So similarly, Granite Aberdeen, because all the buildings were made of plain granite. Okay, so I've given you the meanings, and in the next lecture we'll start with our explanation. Okay, so goodbye for now. Wishing you all the best. Bye everyone.